We are
Ready?
back with another season, with new hopes, new excitement,
New
and
mission.
new ways to destroy our mental health. The
Yeah.
IPL season is back again, which means we will increase our activity for a little bit more than we have been for the past few months, I would say.
Yeah.
Winnaswamy and Hazelgard's Hazelnut shall be taking you through a preview.
Yeah. Let's start with cricket being back at Chinnaswamy.
Cricket having returned to Chinnaswamy is very interesting to me because I think at some point we all knew it was going to happen. It's just that we had no idea how they would get through to it. I think, irrespective of what had happened on June 4th, we knew that they'd figure out a way to play cricket here. I'm happy with the way that they've gone about it. They've made the right kind of changes to the stadium. Apparently, there's a holding space for the fans so that we don't have to walk around on the roads anymore. There is a solid infrastructure with cameras that are AI supported. So quite
AI-enabled cameras.
yeah, quite a few facilities coming in. Aside from that, there's also a memorial for those fans that we lost on June 4th. And they've also reserved 11 seats, which shall
In
not be
P1
touched.
stand.
Yeah, in P1 stand.
It's not
So
for sale. It's not to
the big
any.
question here is the MLAs and the mantris of the state have been begging for RCB tickets. And for some reason, they are not satisfied with their two tickets. They want four or five tickets, and they want a separate seating space where they don't have to
VIP
deal
stands for them.
with these people.
Privileged people.
And I would say, go for it. Give it to them, right? It is 100% their right to have their four tickets, but give it to them based on their performance. Your
Yeah.
tickets to IPL matches will be determined by your performance and contribution towards your section of the city. If your people think that you are worth those tickets, you will get those tickets. That would be the perfect way to go about it. Have an appraisal season for them, and you're sorted.
Yeah. Yeah. Proper way. The good thing about cricket and RCB is they unite rivalries. We are not
Absolutely.
talking about RCB and CSK, but we are talking
We're
about the
talking about
rivalries in the
SRH.
parliament that have united in the parliament for tickets.
Exactly. So there are two types of uniting that's happening simultaneously. One is the parliament, and the other one is SRH, uniting the entire country against them because of one bid that they made for a Pakistani player in the 100. So today will be Royal Champions Bengaluru versus Sunrisers
Pakistan.
Pakistan. And funnily enough, PSL has a new Hyderabad team for those who don't know. That's also happening in the background. So there's a
For
lot
people who
happening
don't know,
there.
there's a second Hyderabad in Pakistan.
Yes, Pakistan has a Hyderabad, and the visuals that have been shown in Durandar are nowhere close to what the actual living condition is over there.
Sun setting tonight. The sun sets and the IPL starts tonight.
Always. Actually, it gets hotter when the IPL starts. So like there is a period of cooling in the city every single year, and suddenly you feel a wave of heat rushing through the entire city with like no sign of rain for a solid month. That is when you know the IPL has started. The only exception to that rule is whenever there's an RCB game, you will see a good amount of rain coming through.
Well, yeah, yesterday was Ram Navami. It was supposed to rain, but thank you. No signs of rain. There's only one signs of rain tonight. It's only raining sixes.
Always.
Just as per Star Sports, is it a 300 alert game?
I wouldn't say so. We'll get to that. Question of the day: who will Rashmika Mandana support tonight? She will support Sanju Samson because of the Vijay Devarkonda connection. Okay, let's actually get started with an actual preview. Let me
Yeah.
just share.
What do you think about all the practice sessions so far and the videos that you have seen?
I would say the practice sessions are a little overrated because a large part of it is bashing net bowlers. So whatever a batter's strike rate is during a practice session, if it is a 200, reduce it to a 170. Like anything you see, give it a minus 30 so that it seems a lot more realistic. Do we start with RCB or do we start with SRH?
We'll start with SRH.
All right. So, interesting news from SRH. Pat Cummins is unavailable. This is their squad, kind of very batting heavy, I would say. Their
Both
bowlers,
are
if you look at this section, is very non-existent. Like you shut this one Pat Cummins over here, and then you have absolute run machines from history, or they're just unproven.
yeah. They gone to the auction and got some, not some, mostly domestic talents and one heavy Liam Livingston to further strengthen the batting lineup.
Yeah. So it is a little baffling to me that they went in with a pretty decent purse and ended up splurging almost the entirety of that purse on Liam Livingston because they had something like a Kamindu Mendes. Even if they had not gotten Liam Livingston here, they did end up getting Salil Arora, which means they could have played both Aniket Verma and Salil Arora as their finishers. But now that they have Liam Livingston, one of them is going to miss out. And for all you know, they might end up playing both Aniket and Arora and end up benching Nitish Kumar Reddy at some point of this season because I really don't see his batting coming through. Although his bowling still has a decent level of fire to it.
Yeah, you see Ishan Malinga starting tonight with no
I
pads.
would say so because he has been cleared in terms of fitness, so he should be good to go. A lot of people are saying that Brighton Cars might go ahead of him, but I would still stick with Ishan Malinga. Um, do you want to put together something, a decent batting order of some sort?
Yeah, goes without saying Travis Shake to
Travis
open the
Head to open
batting
the
with
next season.
Ishan
Yeah,
Kishan at number three, and at four, Sam
I would
Klassen.
go Klassen. Yeah,
Yeah,
Klassen at four makes sense to me.
Klassen at four, Aniket Verma at five, Reddy at
Livingston.
six.
Right. Okay. Livingston ready at 6-7.
Huh. So
Um,
that's seven. Then you have Harshal Patel, Jaydev Unadkat, and
yes,
Malinga.
Ishan Malinga, and some people would say Zishan Ansari. I would say Shivam Kumar.
Mm-hmm.
I would say
Who is this Shivam Kumar? Just give
Shivam
us a bit
Kumar
of.
is a left-arm Chinaman who can
Mm-hmm.
also bat a little bit. And from what I've seen so far, he is a pretty solid bowler. He has a little bit of mystery to his bowling. I wouldn't play Zishan Ansari largely because of his lack of batting ability. And I would say in the second half of last year's season, he might have gotten figured out just a little bit. So if you look at this team, so far your bowling options would be Harshal Patel, Shivam Kumar, Jaydev Unadkat, Ishan Malinga, and a combination of Abhishek Sharma, Liam Livingston, and Nitish Kumar Reddy. So you do have enough bowling options, and irrespective of how many other bowlers you try to bring in as impact players, it won't make a difference because everyone's going to get pumped. So I would say play Salil Arora as your impact substitute in this
Mm.
case.
Vishal is
No,
asking no
no,
Cummins.
because they have Livingston. Simple.
Hmm. But
So
is
if we're
there a
looking
requirement for a
at that,
Livingston
let's
with
just talk this
Klassen?
quickly. Commando Mendes and Liam Livingston will bring you the exact same dimensions, I would say, because both of them are able to produce something with the bat. I would say Livingston is a little better with the bat when compared to Kamindu. Kamindu will give you left arm spin and right arm spin, both arm spin. Livingston, on the other hand, will give you right arm leg spin and off spin. So basically, both of them are able to turn the ball in both directions. And this is an added factor. The Chinnaswamy familiarity is obviously going to help, and we all know how ex RCB players are going to pull up against RCB.
More than the Chinnaswamy familiarity, it's the ex-RCB factor. What
Exactly.
he played only 4 games in Chinnaswamy, and I think in one of them he was benched.
Yeah.
Yeah, 150 he got versus GT and two mid-ass games.
Exactly.
Not really with the familiarity, but mostly ex-RCB players turning up against RCB.
Absolutely.
Libby can be useful more with the ball tonight, is what I feel.
I agree. Spinners having a good economy rate will actually be pretty important in this case because a large part of the wickets at the Chinnaswamy last year were taken by fast bowlers. Both spinners and fast bowlers go at an average economy of anything between 9 to 9.5 on this ground. I would say that has a lot to do with the first innings scores that were put up by RCB last year. We didn't exactly do that great in the first innings. But given those statistics, you would want your spinners to have a good economy rate so that the fast bowlers are getting all the wickets. How
Yeah,
much
but they
is SRH scoring tonight? Great question.
300, 300,
300. Okay.
300.
On an actual serious note, I would actually say that this is a 220 pitch,
It's a
and
fresh wicket, so
it is a fresh wicket. There will be some grass on it, and if it is anything similar to the Chinnaswamy that we've seen over the past 2 or 3 years, there is going to be a good amount of bounce that is offered. So, if there is a case where SRH do bat first, I would say that someone like a Duffy or a Romario would actually be able to do really well as a hit the deck kind of a bowler, get that little bit of extra bounce with those few patches of grass also on the pitch. Um, I don't think SRH has someone of that caliber. The only
Pat
realistic
Cummins.
option they have was Bryden Cast, but since he won't be a legitimate player featuring in the playing 11, I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Apart from that, it was just Pat Cummins who could hit the deck. But
Exactly.
in yesterday's practice session videos, Romario was seen practicing the good line deliveries, just hitting the deck.
Exactly.
And he was getting very good amount of bounce from the wicket.
So yeah, it makes a lot of sense that they might somewhere they might utilize even the Romario Shepherd in the power play because at some point during his career he was known more as a power play bowler and nothing after that. Don't give him any overs in the second half was how they used to go about it. Right now, he is a much more improved bowler. You can utilize him during different stages of the game, and I would say Mangesh doesn't exactly extract the same kind of swing. So you might have to use a combination of Duffy and Romario in the power play to pull it off.
Hitler says today would be an invasion of Bengaluru by Hyderabad.
I mean, who would know better about invasions than Hitler himself?
Yeah.
All
Well, yeah,
right.
that's SRH summed
Yep.
up for you for tonight's game. Let's move on to the chasing champions.
The chasing champions, exactly. Um, right, RCB. I think we don't have to share our screen to give you the RCB squad. It's pretty straightforward by itself, except for that one number three slot where there is a debate for Venki slash Devdutt slash Bethel. The rest of the squad kind of forms itself. You know, it's going to be Salt, Virat, Dash number three, Rajat,
Virat,
David, Jitesh, Romario, Krunal, Bhuvi, Mangesh, and Suyash.
Duffy.
Um, Duffy. Yeah. So the question here is, would you play Venki or DDP as your number three, given that you might require an extra bowling option in the absence of Hazelwood? I would still go ahead with Padikkal because he's just been a lot more consistent and he's improved his strike rate by leaps and bounds. And it would be very unfair to him to bench him.
Yeah, it's a debate about if you want to slightly replace your bowling lineup with like to like abilities of Hazelwood.
Exactly.
No, Hazelwood, you can't replace anyone with Hazelwood. Or you just give extra power to your batting lineup that makes up for your bowling.
Yeah. So a lot of people are saying just go with an all-out Indian bowling attack because if you get those 20, if you give away those 20 runs extra with your bowling, someone like a Jacob Bethel at number three can always make up for it. So if you
Hmm.
play a fully Indian bowling attack, you can play four batters in Salt, Bethel, Romario, and David. Although it is
Very tempting.
interesting perspective to look at. I wouldn't really endorse it because at this stage, Padikkal, Venki, and Bethel don't really differ too much with their strike rates. And I would say Devdutt Padikkal has become a lot more consistent in terms of both his average and his strike rate. So making up for those 20 runs is not how you should look at it. Um, Looking at it from a balance point of view is a lot more important.
Yeah, you already have Romario to give those extra 2 overs.
Exactly.
Upon that, if you want, like, again, Venki has been more like an improved bowler in the last 1 year of his domestic circuit.
Yes, yes.
That's a good sign. But I don't think we need more bowling options. We already have. Or if you
There
say,
is one other bowling option, and I'm not talking about the right arm quick bowler, not the swinging menace. Given that SRH have three left-handers in their top order, the ideal way to go about it, as we saw in the World Cup as well with Abhishek and Ishan, is to bowl off spin to them. Unfortunately for us, we have no off spinner in our team, but we have a certain Tim David who used to be a very regular off spinner across tournaments. The option exists. I feel like it's a great idea to just try it out for 1 or 2 overs, see how it goes. Go Bowie and Duffy for your first 4 overs. Fifth over, bring in a Tim David if you haven't gotten wickets yet. See how he performs against these left-handers because a little bit of off spin could not really do any harm to the team.
should Bethel play in place of Devdutt or Venki?
I would love to. I would love to have four batters up top, but again, we also saw how it is in the auction videos. They were very clear that they do not want an all-out Indian bowling attack. They need to have one overseas pacer, especially given that there is a great deal of inexperience with the absence of both Dayal and Hazelwood. If Yash Dayal was still a part of RCB's structure, there might have been some space to consider if we could play an all-out Indian seam attack. But given that there is no experience here, playing both Mangesh and Rasik would seem a very risky thing to do for the first game. So I would rather go with Jacob Duffy because of a little bit more experience and a different style of bowling, a different variety to the bowling lineup. So you have
Yeah.
left arm, you have right arm, and you have a proper tall hit the deck kind of a bowler, and that covers a greater plethora to tackle different types of batters.
While we are talking about that extra batting cushion that Venki or Bethel gives you at number three, playing Devdutt at number three, and when you have Mangesh in your team, let's not forget that Mangesh is an all-rounder and who's also known for his big hitting abilities,
Exactly.
who could be used as a floater as well, but you still have an extra cushion, someone below Krunal Pandya, and
Precisely.
that just gives you extra confidence for the top to go all out.
Yeah, so we have batting that extends all the way up till number nine,
Bhuvi.
even because Bhuvi has also shown that he's capable enough. I wouldn't consider him as a batting option, but if you need someone to hold one end, Bhuvi can hold one end. He's actually very good through the offside for some reason. His cut shots and drives are pretty solid like that. So yeah, that's the RCB squad. Some of their other players, there was some debate about whether to play Kanish Chauhan because again, a good, solid, big hitter of the ball and an excellent off-spin option. So given that SRH have three lefties up top, there might be a decent level of consideration towards that. But I wouldn't see too much changing from what we saw last year. Last year's playing 11 should be more or less fixed.
Yeah, maximum two changes.
Yeah, two changes at the most. I think that's pretty much it
Or
from
would RCB
RCB.
also think about going with Razik Salam in place of Mangesh?
I wouldn't say so because I'd say Rasik and Bhuvi give you very similar dimensions. Maybe Rasik has a little bit more variation with his pace variations with like cutters, off cutters, you name it. The slower deliveries would be slightly different, but at the end of the day, they are both medium height bowlers who will come in and push the ball in a very skiddy fashion. You are not going to see them extract anything different. So if that is the case, might as well play a left arm option. And I think it's been pretty clear from the videos that RCB has been putting out that Mangesh is going to start ahead of Rasik.
Yeah. Who do you think is going to be the X factor of RCB this season?
X factor for RCB this season, it'll all come down to Rajat Patidar, in my opinion. He has to step up with the bat as well. We didn't see him do too much with the bat. He did win us our two most important away games against CSK and MI, player of the match in both those games. But if you're looking at his season overall, it was still a pretty mid-season, especially going into the second half. So if you put together Rajat Patidar's entire IPL career so far, 2021 had a shit first half, got dropped in the second half. 2022 did not play the first half, had an excellent second half. 2023 injured. 2024 had a shit first half, a brilliant second half. 2025 a good first half, a poor second half, but did well in the finals. So he's not had a consistent run of scores across the entire season, and it's very Sanju Samson esque. One thing with Rajat Patidar, though, he's performed in almost every single knockout game that he's played so far, irrespective of whether it's the IPL or SMAT or Ranji or you name it, right? Um, he is a clutch player like that, but I want to see a lot more from him as a batter, and I think his entry point being delayed because of the other critical performing last year might have been a contributing factor to his dip in batting form, I would say. This is a good point as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A lot would be
on
relying on Bhuvi's shoulders this season. He needs to be close to prime Bhuvi was.
100%. 2016 and 17 were two of his greatest years. He won the purple cap in both those years. So goes without saying. And people are saying that this is the next 2016. And a lot of that statement is largely referring to Virat Kohli coming back into his, prime. We will discuss Virat Kohli because obviously there will be no discussion about RCB without a Kohli discussion. But Bhuvi, on the other hand, AB de Villiers did mention that he has lost a yard of pace, and that extra yard of pace does make a lot of difference to
Lot
a
of
bowler, especially in this end of his career. His swing, on the other hand, his power play bowling is still pretty solid. We saw it in SMAT and all the UP T20 league as well. He's bowling well in the power play, but at the death, he is still going at nines and tens and over. He's landing his Yorkers, but with that extra yard of pace not being there, his Yorkers are still, you could still get it away to the boundary. That's the only issue that he might face this year.
And from the practice videos, we have seen him develop a new slower dipping Yorker.
Yeah.
We could see that
Used
come
to
in
bowl
CA.
the knuckleball earlier, but the slower dipping Yorker would be a lot more useful in this case. The only scenario that you might find it a little inconvenient is if there's dew involved. So when you're playing in venues like Ahmedabad, Raipur, etc., you will see a lot more dew coming in, and when that's the case, these slower dipping Yorkers might not make too much sense because they'll easily end up being full tosses. The Harshal Patel deliveries, if I may. All right, coming to the man himself.
Yeah.
There was a statement released by Virat Kohli a long time ago during one of his post-match interviews. I would say this is probably a couple of years ago, when his strike rate was uh, under a little bit of scrutiny. He mentioned that he doesn't play these fancy shots just because he does not want to lose his test game. Now that he's not really involved with Test cricket anymore, I would say that this season Virat Kohli is going to be coming back as a lot more of a threat to the other teams because his range of shots might just end up increasing. Thoughts?
Yeah, we could see the same in the practice game, and in all the practice sessions, the one name that's been buzzing around is Virat Kohli, who is looking in incredible form. Like you could hear that sound of bat come out of Chinnaswamy in MG Road.
Yeah.
Like his
Or
timing is,
as CSK fans would say, you could hear it 20 kilometers away from your house.
yeah, yeah, he's looking in that solid form coming into the IPL. And first ball of
Absolutely.
the practice game, he tongs it up on the mid wicket for Bhuvneshwar Kumar for a six. And although it's all inflated numbers in the practice session, we were told that the bowlers were asked more to bowl in the full length area so that the batters can hit them on purpose. And they need to find ways to stop the batter from hitting in full length deliveries. That's
Exactly.
one thing. And Kohli will be, I think he will take up the role of Salt, what Salt was doing last year. Kohli will be doing that, taking on aggressive starts, more high risk shots.
We saw this happening with Kohli and Faf as well, right? There was a large part of Kohli's gameplay where people thought Faf would be the one being the aggressor. But it completely flipped the script in 2024 when Kohli became the aggressor and that allowed Faf to take his time. And at one point, it was as if both of them were complementing each other in very nice manners. Because if one is going hard, the other one takes his time. If the other is going hard, this one takes its time. So something similar is going to happen with Salt and Kohli this time because it kind of requires Kohli to go a little harder, given that Phil Salt's form is not exactly at its highest.
Yeah, but are
I
you
think
concerned
Jimmy
about Phil
can replace
Salt's form?
ABD. No, nobody
Nobody
replaces.
can replace ABD.
But that's the thing, right? Jitesh cannot replace ABD alone. But the squad that is structured this year is not for one single player to replace ABD. Over the past 2 or 3 years, we've seen the squad being structured so that the entire middle order comes together and wins games that AB used to win single handedly. So a combination of Jitesh, David, and Romario is capable
Can
of
be
doing
able to
what
do on
AB used to
ABD.
do. That's the difference here.
Coming
What
into the IPL after a disastrous World Cup for Phil Salt, are you concerned about his form?
I am
And
concerned about
tempted
his
to play
form, but I
Bettel?
still think that a large part of Phil Salt's innings came in Sri Lanka, right? So, given that he played in Sri Lanka, his starts, his responsibility was a lot more different. We saw him play a couple of very responsible knocks, a 40
Yeah,
something,
150 that
60.
he got was a very crucial 50.
Exactly. So it showed a very different dimension to his batting. Once he came to India, he was probably just not able to make that flip in the switch fast enough for him to adapt to those conditions. Because when you spend that much time in Sri Lanka and the bounce, the pace is a lot different from how zippy it is in India, it's understandable that he wasn't able to get into that groove. And someone like a Bethel who found things a little more uncomfortable in Sri Lanka moved one step down to number four and completely became a different sort of a batter altogether. So you never know how it might go, but I still think Salt starts ahead of Bethel just because of what he's capable of. His good days are very good.
Yeah, I think that's not an issue. Salt in RCB jersey is a different beast when he's batting with Virat Kohli on non-strikers, and that just gives him some different level of confidence.
Exactly.
Uh, Although this World Cup was quite disastrous with one great knock of 50 odd and Sri Lanka in a must-win game, let's not forget last season, just before the IPL started, they had
Right.
Champions Trophy. His form
Exactly.
was not great in Champions Trophy either. He came from, I think they played mostly in Pakistan and one odd game in
Yeah.
Dubai.
He wasn't able to score on Pakistan's flat decks, but he came to India and suddenly it's all different. Right? And
Yeah,
Salt
that's it.
in the Chinnaswamy was a pretty solid option for us. There were games that he looked like he could win single handedly. Unfortunately, he gets to those 40s and gets out, which is fine. Um, this the debate can go on forever, right? You will never know if you're better off with Salt or Bethel. Um, Maybe that extra factor that Bethel can bowl a couple of overs as well is helps a team lean towards Bethel's side, but it's a hard choice, guys. At the end of the day,
Yeah, you just back your batters whom you backed all this time and just go ahead with the same combination and see if after a few games, if things don't work out well for Salt, then you always have the option of Bethel.
exactly. The bench is very strong this time, and a lot of these teams this year have that one top order batter issue where they don't know whom to play, right? MI has that issue of should we play Quinton de Kock or should we play Rickleton? KKR has the Allen versus Seifert issue. CSK has Matre versus Urvil Patel issue. So we'll get to all of
SRH
that.
has Ishan
Yeah.
Kishan versus head
Yeah,
Abhishek
yeah,
Sharma.
like whom to play as openers, who to play at three. So that concept is very difficult to put together, and it requires a very good team environment for people to, not get overwhelmed by emotion if they are not a part of the playing 11. Gale's 175, in my opinion, will not be broken as long as this impact player rule exists because batters are required to go hard from ball one, which increases their chances of getting out. So you can't possibly keep going like Gale did in that innings. Funnily enough, Gale played a very poor over in the 20th over. If he had pulled that off, he might have gotten a 200 as well. So you never know.
Yeah, and there was always that one Til Karatne Dilshan innings.
Dilshan, exactly. Do you think we should have kept Ngidi in our squad? Looking back, looking at his World Cup performance, in hindsight, you could say that Gidi would have made a lot of sense in this squad, especially now given that Tushara is injured, right? Releasing Tushara would have given us.
No, he's
And
not injured. He has just not cleared the
did the fitness test
from fitness
and
test.
he's not given the NOC. They are
Yeah,
also saying he's running some 2 kilometers something to prove his fitness to the Sri Lanka cricket board. I'm not sure what's going on that
he's
side.
bowling, but Sri Lanka has got a new fitness test or something to clear for their NOC and stuff.
Exactly. So
It's not related to their bowling completely.
yeah.
But
No.
what
So
we know so far is at least
getting
for
to
two games,
this.
Tushara will
Uh,
miss.
Yeah. Getting to this point, if you look back at a lot of Christopher Henry Gale's knocks, he used to take his time before he got going. I think overall, he has one of the highest dot ball percentages
In power play.
in IPL history, in IPL history for that matter. I think it's a 41% dot ball ratio. So,
Yeah.
to give you some standard to compare with, Virat Kohli has a 31% dot ball ratio. So, almost a 10% increase is a pretty high increase when you come to a T20 format. Gale going from ball one has a lot to do with his mentality in terms of showing intent towards hitting the bowlers. But at the end of the day, he still used to give himself a decent amount of time before he got going.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has no singles and doubles because he didn't believe in running, he believed in hitting sixes. So the Christian mentality is a very different one. And I think the game has evolved from there. But given that you have that impact player rule where you play eight batters, you can't have a player wasting balls.
Yeah.
So there's a higher chance of them getting out in a rush to get those runs.
For
Simple as
someone
that.
like Gale with the ability to hit any ball out of the park, even if he plays six dot balls and hits two sixes, he's clearly above 150 strike rate already.
Exactly.
That's the Gale factor, and we could see that in the tournament stats even today, where Gale is still unreachable at the top at the number of sixes that he has hit. Like I
Yeah.
think we probably might need two more seasons to break that number.
Probably. I think Kohli in 2 seasons will be able to pull it off. If you look at maybe an average of, I think, what, 36s per season?
Rohit is 312, Kohli is 302 sixes. I think Gale is around 350, 350.
350 something, yeah. So 2 seasons, something around an average of 36s in a season.
Yeah. Let's not forget like Gale retired in 2021. Yeah,
Yeah.
21. It's been
Yeah.
5 years. You can't. That's
Yeah,
that's like
so the two biggest records of players retiring in 2021, AB with the most man of the matches, even 4 years later, still hasn't been broken by anyone else. Gale with the most sixes, 4 years later, hasn't been broken by anyone else. We're into that fifth year now, and nobody is even close. Maybe Virat Kohli for the man of the match awards,
I think
and
maybe
again,
Virat or
Rohit
Rohit
will
will
do
take
this
it.
as well. But yeah,
I
it'll
think
take
even
time.
Rohit is closer for the man of the match thing.
Yeah, Rohit is a little close. Yeah. So if it happens, it's Rohit and Virat. But Rohit in the IPL, that's a whole other debate for a completely different day. Shruti, we all
We
miss
all miss
ABD.
it. Let's see. It's a new stadium. They say they are doing some felicitations and honors. Let's see if there's a surprise statue of ABD inside the stadium.
There will also be, at some point during today's match, there will be 11 seconds of silence observed for those the victims of June 4th. I'm not sure if this is official. I've just been seeing the news being circulated around quite a lot. 11 seconds of silence is almost nothing. I feel like they should do a little bit more than that. Um, but again, it's Chinnaswamy. You can't really stop it from being loud. So, from that perspective, maybe 11 seconds is a lot. Why did any team go for Gerald Coetzee this year? That is, yes, this is the answer.
Yeah, yeah. Kozia has been missed from his national team itself. Why will IPL teams go for him?
Exactly. For that matter, you would rather go for someone like Bartman or Josh Tongue. I heard that Josh Tongue rejected
Yeah, he declined
an
the
offer
offer.
from IPL. So I think a lot of players are starting to put themselves ahead of the IPL, and I think that's a good thing. It will bring these guys back into their awkath a little bit. We're not bigger than the game. 11 minutes, bro, 11 minutes and all, no scene. I think we can get the
So
SRH fans to stay quiet for 11 minutes after the game is done.
let's say they might do 11 minutes of silence. Will you be watching on TV 11 minutes of ads?
Exactly.
That's what happens on broadcasting.
Yeah. I'd say something that would make a lot of sense would be to sign Bartman as Tushara's replacement because I don't see anybody else left in the circuit
Yeah,
of.
he's the best of the lot. Uh, but I think what we're getting info is he's missing first two games. So
Yeah.
Sri Lanka will be having one more fitness test after 4 or 5 days. I think he underwent the
And
test.
by the time that time duration has elapsed, we will obviously have Hazelwood back into some form of fitness. So they're saying Hazelwood might miss 2 weeks.
Two games.
Yeah, the scene over there is that there is a 1 week gap between our first game and our second game. So that gives them a lot of time to bring it back together. And we are in constant talks with Cricket Australia
And he
management.
was seen constantly in the practice session with strength and conditioning coach. He was undergoing some exercises. Like if they have sent Hazelwood already from Australia, I think that means like he has cleared the test. It's just
He
that
has
they're delaying with the
he
rehab.
needs some time for recovery, that's all.
That's all. So
Yeah.
not a huge concern.
One last detail from the two of us. We will be at the stadium today. We will hopefully get more content out of it than we did last year. But yeah, pretty solid.
Yeah, I don't think we need Hazelwood against CSK game also. We can just play our bench players
Last year we played against CSK without Hazelwood.
without Hazelwood.
So yeah, hopefully Duffy does the job this time. It's a little, it is harder. You can never replace Hazelwood. This is an interesting point as well. Amrik Nokia and Livingston got uh, a good deal, even though they're not in their national
Yeah,
team. Livingston, for that matter, will always get a good deal because he's been in so many leagues across the world that his absence in the national team is not going to make too much of a difference to him, right? Livingston and Maxwell are two of these characters. I would say Livingston has just had a good performance in other leagues for teams to believe in him. Maxwell hasn't performed anywhere else as well, and that's why Livingston got a good deal. Nokia, on the other hand, if people had been paying attention to the SA20 and a few other tournaments that he has played, he's been bowling with actual raw pace and fire. Like teams are not able to get a hold of him in the recent past. Someone like Jared Kochia, on the other hand, has not exactly bowled with a decent economy rate, and the batting that he provides is something that teams can obviously make up for with the impact player rule. And there have been other players across this auction who have, shown a lot more potential. So it does come down to the team's balance and their performances across the world.
there's also a lot that has gone down back doors with Livingston and his contract with ECB.
Yes, with Rocky and all
That's
that.
just clearly unprofessional from ECB, McCallum, Rob Key. Like
Yeah.
having a quality of Livingston and
No, just
not
if
having
not,
like a cricket
okay, I
quality.
understand that they're going to drop him from the playing 11, but communicating it to him in the right way is what matters. They can't just tell him, yeah,
We
we're
don't
not
care.
wasting your time on you. That's a very harsh way to put it across. And how you treat a player is going to make a very large difference in not only your own team's uplifting, but also that player's career as well. And you could put a player's career 2 years back by making statements like that to him. On the other hand, if you look at how the RCB management treated him, I would say Livingston would have been retained this year if not for all these bowling problems that we had. We had to have some kind of a purse going into the auction. If not for that, he was still a very important member to the character of the team itself, and his performance in the final will never be forgotten. And the way the management treated him here, he was ready to sign with the same management in the 100 for London Spirit. He will be leading that side over there, and it looks pretty solid for them.
Yeah.
There's a good rapport between him and the management.
Yeah. That's been a good sesh. Back to IPL.
Of course.
And
Yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the stream. Keep your televisions on, keep your eyes open, search for us on TV, let us know if we show up. Um,
make sure to
until
follow
then,
us on Instagram. More insight content since we are going to the game.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we'll
it's
be back
going
after.
to be a lot more active for the next 2 months at least,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes from there. Right.
Yeah.
Until
Until
then,
then,
we'll see.
enjoy the great game of summer. We'll see you. Have a great day.